It seems that many people are still finding it hard to deal with the world of commerce. So what I'm going to do here in this episode called How Not to Get Fingered by the Ferryman is explain to you ways, tried and tested ways for you to navigate through the world of commerce. Now, if you've never heard of the term the ferryman, it's Greek mythology based upon the idea of having to pay a toll as coinage in your mouth and having the ferryman take you across the river Styx to hell. But it seems yet again that people are going through hell as they are trying to live their day-to-day life. Perhaps we get the phrase, put your money where your mouth is, from this ancient Greek mythology. We're going to jump right into it by defining two very important terms, asset and liability. Asset is something that puts money into your pockets, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pockets. So for example, an asset will be a business that you do not pay taxes for, that it gives you cash in your hand. You are autonomous in your capacity. A liability could be a mortgage, car payments, putting petrol in your car, your child, your spouse, your mobile phone. All of these things are basically liabilities. Now, the reason why we focus on asset and liabilities, because you've got to remember, all these little trinkets and all these gizmos that you like are the same things that are driving you and making you live in a hellish world. Think for a minute and assess yet again, is this all worth it? But most of us have participated in many of these things. So now I'm going to give you a few examples of solutions that you can use to have a more freeing and comfortable life. You have to think to yourself, if somebody says you have a contract, is it really a contract? If it's really a contract and you feel that you are obliged to pay it. But the question that comes to mind is, how do you pay a debt with a debt? How do you pay a debt with a debt when we know that we're playing a minor sum game? If I'm in debt of £100 and then I pay the corporation with a fiat currency with £100, how have I balanced the book? I haven't balanced the book. If somebody owed me a favour and I owed somebody else a favour, how could I pay the person I owe by getting the man or woman that owes me a favour and using that favour to pay off the favour that I owe? It's impossible. You cannot pay a debt with a debt. So therefore, you can't pay an IOU with an IOU. Nothing plus nothing is nothing. Do you realize that your name is a corporation? Do you realize that your name is intellectual property? Well, it is. Because your name is intellectual property, it belongs to you. So when someone says, what is your name? You have to refrain from thinking, what am I? You are not a noun. A name is a noun. You have to start thinking that, what is my property? The name is my property. I'm addressed as blah, blah, blah. The reason why I say that is to say this. Because your name is the property, you are now owning something that is extremely valuable. It is so valuable that all these corporations want to get their hands on it to use it for their financial benefit at cost to you. And you have to look after it. In other words, you have to mind your business. Do you remember the program Minder, the 1980s British comedy hit with Arthur Daly? M.Y.O.B, mind your own business. If you do not mind your own business, someone else will mind it for you. And if they mind it for you, it's highly probable that they would not have your best interest at heart. So how do you start looking after your name? Well, to start off with, you have to mind who you give it to. If anybody wants your name, you have to think to yourself, how much is it worth to this individual for such delicate information? If you go anywhere and someone wants your name, your date of birth, and your address, these people are probably going to take your information and sell it to a third party. This is known as a charitable donation, or, in business, a contribution tax. It is also known as the law of conveyance, you giving away your property for free. So what are the possible solutions? First of all, you have to be prepared. You have to be organized, and most of all, you have to be serious. If you want long-lasting change, you have to do certain things to bring this about. You have to have fun. We know that this is a minus-sum game, so you might as well have fun with it. You need to have another name. There is nothing wrong in having more than one name. Hellsbridge Laws of England has a law dedicated to personages. Secondly, you're going to want to have an email address. An email address is also an address for people to contact you with. Just like a physical address, a domain name is somewhere that people can send you information. You're going to want to have a mobile phone, a pay-as-you-go mobile phone. So when you do business with these corporations, you can give them these details for them to contact you. So this way you're controlling how you mind your business. For example, you might get a phone call from an unidentified individual. They do not give you their first name or their last name, but they claim that you owe this amount of money or a corporation has forwarded your information to them. Instead of you getting into a long heated debate with this individual, simply ask them, do you have a claims number, sir? Or do you have a claims number, madam? If you do not have a claims number, sir or madam, due to the Data Protection Act, we will be unable to forward you any information in regards to this matter. But there is no claims number. Just don't tell them that. What might happen after this is they might ask you, we need to find this individual, it's very important, we need to help them. Just reiterate to them by saying, sir, madam, if you do not have a claims number, due to the Data Protection Act, we'll be unable to assist you. If you really want this information, then kindly forward this amount of money to this account and so on and so forth. You will soon see that most of these corporations will stop calling you. But what might happen after this is that different corporations will start writing letters to your house. They'll write letters to your house because after one company sold the debt to another company, they just keep doing this. Why do they do this? Because the members of the public are the assets backing the government's debt that they owe to foreign corporations. Lastly and finally, it is very difficult to go down this road, and you must understand this. Members of your family will turn their backs on you due to their ignorance. Most people do not spend the time to research this, and even when you research this, you have to remember governments globally are totally corrupt. They do not follow their own laws. They do not want to follow their own laws because they have a special interest in the monies that they'll be making from all of these shenanigans. So don't be afraid of the ferryman. Don't get fingered by the ferryman. And remember, even if you do lose friends and family, at least you don't lose your sanity.